Hi, folks. Welcome back to the Tiger Sports Show. We're once again going socially distant here. I'm Greg Mays. This is my little brother and co-host, Trent Mays. Wave to the camera, Trent.
I
You
wave.
see, we got a little delay going here. But that's all right. Virus numbers all over are flying up, and hope everybody out there is being safe. We're here to talk Hastings Tiger Athletics, and the story around Hastings Tiger Athletics this week is football. We've got all the other fall sports wrapped up. A lot of the winter sports are getting ready to go. I'm sure we'll be talking about those pretty soon. But here tonight, it's Tiger football first, second, and third. So first thing, Trent, just give us a wrap up. Amazing game last Friday over at Grand Island Northwest. Huge Tiger win. We'll put it in historical perspective later, but just give me the rundown of the game.
It was just a great game overall, and of course we came out on top, so we like it a little bit more. But you just had two. It was like a heavyweight prize fight. You had two big fighters in there, two high octane offenses. It was the game that we thought we were going to get 2 weeks ago. When we went up to GI Northwest 2 weeks ago. Tigers won 45-42 in a thriller, came right down to the last final possession. Last time someone had the ball, as they say. We had the ball last, so that was good for us. They traded punches, and you had some counter punches, and it was just a really good football game, and that's what people keep telling me about it. Even it's Tuesday, so 4 days later, people are just talking about what a great game it was.
Well, let's take a look at the Tiger touchdowns, and there were plenty of them, and there needed to be plenty of them. So let's roll the highlights.
There's Zabe Widener gets
a lot of scores on the ground.
Yeah, Tiger running game. They knew they needed to run the ball more, and we're showing that 200 yards rushing for the Tigers, over $150 the last 3 wins, which is huge for the Tigers. You got to be able to run the ball in November. Here's Jarrett Sinek, QB1, doing his you're gonna bounce off of me thing, man type runs and doing great things. The pass to Shoemaker. We were looking to go away from Carson, but then Carson beat his guy one-on-one, and my catchphrase is "he gone." So, and he was. And then Zayd comes back with another one on the ground. We needed every point we could get. Opening the game, 2 stops by the Tiger D, went 3 plays and out, which I celebrate those with the skull and crossbones. We're throwing the bones a little bit for the Huskers. That ended up being huge, because if you look at the way the scoring went afterwards, those 2 stops, and you didn't think about it at the time of how huge they were, but they were absolutely huge, and basically put them in chase mode. They had to spend a lot of energy trying to get back to even before they could get ahead, and that was huge, because it gave us the advantage pretty much the whole night.
I was standing by Superintendent Schneider, and he just kept saying, we got to get ahead by 2 scores. We got to get ahead by 2 scores. And we'd get ahead by 2, and then here they'd come, even it up again. Finally, at the end, he was like, maybe we need to get ahead by 3. But really, we just needed to have the ball last. Halftime, what was the score, and what was kind of the story of the third quarter?
We were up 21-14 at half. There, we still have the 1 possession lead, which again is huge. Going back to those 2 huge stops to start the game, really threw their coaching staff, I think, off a little bit. They tied it up 21 to start the third, and then we saw those highlights with QB1, Mr. Jarrett Sinek, taking the zone read, basically saying I'm better than you a little bit. You're going to bounce off me, and I'm going to score touchdowns. Little Tommy Frazier action. And then the play to Little Shoe. The coaches told me today that we were set up going to go to away from Shoe. They've been paying a lot of attention to Carson, like almost everybody does, but Carson's gone off the last couple of weeks. They were going to go to the three. They were going to work the three receiver set in the trips. But Jared just saw the corner of his eye that shoe went straight, and that guy was still standing still. And once you give little shoe a step, he's gone. And that was that. And then it got to be, we were up 2 scores, so we got the 2-score lead back. It's funny that you say that. Raleigh White, Hastings High legendary football player and former coach, told me the same thing that Mr. Schneider said. That as long as we stay up 2 scores, we'll be in business.
Great minds think alike. Of course, at the end of the show here, we'll have the full game tape. And when you're watching that shoe touchdown, folks, watch how Jared Sinek uses his eyes to move the safety to one side and then come back to the other. All right, so we head to the 4th quarter. By then, it's obvious we've got a classic ball game on our hands. How did the Tigers end up being the team that survives and moves on?
Well, we had to withstand. You knew GI Northwest wasn't going to go away. The Vikes are proud. They got it to 42. They scored twice in the 4th. Tigers had it with 2 minutes left, a little over 2 minutes. In big series, it's you need to try to hold on to the ball and try to go score, or you punt it right back to them, and probably Northwest is going to go score. So the Tigers, the first 2, we got 5 yards on the first 2 plays, faced a 3rd and 5 at their own 45. First of all, GI Northwest did us a favor. They kicked it out of bounds, which was huge. Zaid made a great play by taking a chance, not touching it, letting it bounce, got the little roll, and it takes off, and we get the ball at the 35. So we get the 5 yards on the run to Zaid right up the middle, try to pass to BK over the top, missed it. So we're facing 3rd and 5, 2 minutes left. Basically, Northwest is probably thinking we're going to throw it. Coach Shu comes up with probably, I personally think I'd put it up there in top 10 play calls in Hastings High history. Comes up and runs that double reverse, or the reverse back to Carson, threw them all off. It looked like they were in a blitz. Carson gets 25 yards. We're looking at it.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah. Just the perfect execution, great fakes by the guys, some good perimeter blocking back that, and Shoes just got the jets. So we get the ball down near the goal line, and you're just thinking how far he can get. So he gets down probably around the 30, which is huge because now there's probably a minute and a half left. We got Northwest on their heels, and then we hit the big pass play over the middle to get it to the goal line. People were celebrating that we scored. Not sure we really wanted to do that. I was just curious what they would do, whether they would go for the touchdown and maybe give the ball back to Northwest, or what would happen.
In a game where people are scoring like they are, you kind of want to hold that ball till that clock's running out. Was that the big catch by Austin Nauert across the middle?
Over the middle, yep. And it looked like on our sideline, even Mike Will and the boys on KHS radio thought we'd scored. And then Jimmy calmed him down, and maybe that was the best thing that happened. We get the 2 run plays. And I talked to Coach Charlie today. I thought GI Northwest was going to let us score. I didn't think they were going to play defense right there. They surprised me.
Yeah. Well, of course, that runs the clock down and sets the Tigers up for hero time. Briar Menke comes on, and I think we've got video courtesy of the Hastings Tribune of that big kick.
Just a great snap by and a hold by Jarrett
Musgrave.
Musgrave. Yeah, and then there's all 3 parts to that. Tigers are celebrating. I was trying to get them to calm down because there's still 12.7 seconds left. Northwest has shown they can score in less than 12.7 seconds. So I was trying to keep myself calm and not get too excited.
Well, that's never going to work. You're never going to keep yourself calm on the sidelines.
Yeah, well,
but of course, Northwest got a big kicker. the Janky kid, and that's kind
Yeah.
of a kicking name at Northwest. So I'm thinking, boy, we got to kick it deep enough so he doesn't get, they can't make one pass play and he has a chance for like a 50-yard field goal, which he may have the leg for. But what happens on the kickoff instead that ends the game?
Tigers go with a squib kick. They kicked it on the ground. Goes back to midget football days. Midget football days, that's how everybody kicks off. You got to go down that ball. You got to jump on it and try to get it. They try to pick it up, probably bounces off a shin. Tigers, we'll talk about that in a second. The Tigers got it, ended the game, went to victory celebration formation. It was funny. Coach Charlie mentioned it on the post-game show. I talked to him a little bit today about it. I asked him, I said, did you have some volunteers for that kick coverage? He said, yeah, I had a few guys come up to say they wanted to play on that kick coverage. So they had all the speed guys in, especially loaded to that side. And just a great thing because you didn't let them get the ball back. Janky probably was going to have to kick that into the wind. You can see by the flag up by the scoreboard, that wind, he's going to have to kick that into the wind. It just bounced around like a hot potato. And Menke's celebration's the best because he's back there. He know he did his job, and he knows we got it. We're going to the semis.
All right, Tigers are heading on to the semis, and once we wrap this season up, I think we'll talk about where that win fits in Tiger history. But we've got a semifinal to talk about, and the first thing I think we've got to talk about is the fact that because the Tigers went on the road for this one, they were guaranteed to be at home with a win, and they will be. They'll be out at the Osborne Family Sports Complex at 7 p.m. Friday night. It's sounding like the governor's new restrictions are not going to limit who can be at the game. We're not going with the pass list type thing that we started the year with. So I hope we'll have a lot of Tiger fans out there. Get your masks on and get yourself a good, bit of social distance for your household and cheer the Tigers on. But that's going to be a huge game. One of the biggest home games in Hastings Tiger history. So I thought, Trent, we should talk about some of the biggest home games. What are you going to put on the list? What are the biggest home games you've seen at Hastings College, either at the Osborne or over at the old A.H. Jones?
I'd say Kearney 93, first of all. Undefeated. You got Monte Cristo. We can talk about that in a little bit. I'd probably go the state final game the next year, 94 at A.H. Jones. And of course it's McCook, and we just demolished them, which makes it even more funner. I would go Shatter 97 maybe. That was a quarterfinal game that puts the Tigers into the playoffs. They had a gunslinger for a quarterback, and those boys took care of business that day too. So those would probably be my three.
Yeah, the Smith kid from Shattering, he ended up at Purdue, didn't he?
Think so. Quarterback? Yeah, he could sling it. He could. It was a Monday afternoon game. It was cold and snowy and.
Well, that's the only one you mentioned that didn't make my list. Let's take a look at my list here, and I'll show you what I put up there. Okay,
you have a couple more
I put the Class B. Yeah, I put that Class B state title game, 56-16 win over McCook. Just an amazing night. The Tigers were running everything out of their offense, and it was working in every direction. There's the 94 team, some all-staters. That's Josh Cole on the left there, quarterback Stevie Guitar Jones in the middle, and Ben Butenbeck on the right. Ben's got a kid who ripped it up this year at Lincoln Southeast a little bit. Pretty good football and baseball player. All right, let's go back to the list, though. Oh, there was the 94 team quick, but I've got that 93 regular season win. I think that was a week eight game. Is that right, Trent?
Yeah, it was the week. Had to beat Columbus to go to Columbus the next week, but that was week 8. It was 2 undefeated teams. Kearney had our number and just beat us up a ton, probably the 3 decades before that. So,
Yep, and of course Monte Cristo, who was playing in that game for Kearney, he'll probably be at the stadium Friday night because his son plays for the Elkhorn Antlers.
Yeah, definitely the Count of Monte Cristo and those miracle pitches. You got the Columbus win. You can talk about the Beatrice game first. I don't think I was born in 1940.
Yeah, I've got a couple there. Oh, there's that. There's the '93 team, the first playoff state champions in Tiger history. In the front row there, number 12, that's Bo Butenbeck. We've compared Jared Sinek to him a bunch this year. Over on the right there, number 30, that's Kelly Wiesman. Big Larry Brown, 78, and Justin May, 74.
Raleigh White,
yeah,
71.
a lot of great faces, a lot of great players.
I'm looking for that current Tiger coach. He's in the fourth row, right below
Number
the coach,
10.
the third row. Corey Dreer.
Yeah.
Coach Corey.
There he is. All right, let's go back to that big game list. All right, a big game that's always been a sore spot in Tiger history was 1956. Hosted at A.H. Jones. All the games we've been talking about have been over at A.H. Jones, you'll notice. McCook came in, a 3 or 4 loss team into the Big Ten championship game. Tigers undefeated. I know that when I heard the story, I always heard it as costing Hastings the state title. But looking back, really, Omaha North kind of had the state title sewed up. They were also undefeated. But Hastings would have been number 2 in the state with that win. But McCook came in and just played a whale of a game. They were really a team that had been getting better late. Makes that 94 state championship just sweeter. The Tigers really only threatened once late in the first half and got stopped at the 1-yard line. McCook had picked up their 3 points, their field goal. Tigers had turned the ball over early and they turned it into a field goal. McCook has a McCook 3 Hastings 0 sign in their trophy case from this game to this day. That's how big a game it was for McCook. Let's go back to that list again. Oh, there's the 56 team. Dick Betcher's in there somewhere. I think he's number 51 in the top row, an all-stater. And then Don Fricky would be number 52. He's in the top row over on the left there. Another all-stater played down at the university. A heck of a player down there. Beecher was also a great tennis player. You don't get that football-tennis combination very often. Both of those guys in the Hastings High Hall of Fame. The 1940 Hastings High's first state champions. They won their 9th game of the season against Beatrice at home. In 1940, boy, A.H. Jones isn't even there yet. But the field is in the same place there where the Science Building is. Now, they beat Beatrice 12-0 to win the Mid-East title, the conference that Hastings was in then. The big stars on the bottom row there, cocking the ball to throw it. That's Wally Hop, one of the famous Hop brothers. And then Vern Steiner is in the middle of the bottom row there. Those two are the all-staters for the Tigers. There's their starting 11. Looking good. I like those unis. All right, back to the list here. That 94 win was big because the Class B state champions wouldn't have made the playoffs without that win against Columbus, 28-14, because we had lost to Norfolk, who would be the eventual Class A champs, and lost to Kearney, who I believe was a Class A semifinalist that year. It was going to keep us out of the Class B playoffs, but the Columbus win put us in, and then, of course, really steamrolled the playoff pretty much. Pius pushed us a little bit, wouldn't you say, Trent?
Oh, yeah. But yeah, Pius, the first round, definitely. What I remember about that Columbus game is it's pretty close, and we're running probably run-pass option with Steve Jones, one of our great quarterbacks in Tiger history. He comes up. The corner decided to come up and take him, leave Corey Dreer, who is now Coach Corey, wide open, and Corey was an all-state wide receiver that year after being all-state corner with Mr. INT the year before. Why he decided to leave Corey open, you never know, but that's fine with us. So, and that ended up putting that game away. We talked about the Papio game last week. That was the first playoff.
Yeah, to me that belongs on there. Yeah, because of being the first playoff win, the Tigers had never been to the NSAA playoffs. There was a lot of questions still around town. Were they really for real? And that game, I think, said they were for real. And then the last game on the list is another loss. North Platte lost in the Big Ten championship game, one of the greatest games in Nebraska high school history. North Platte pulls out the 14-13 win. The big star for the Tigers that year was quarterback Wayne Weber. There he is, wearing number 45 at quarterback. We've compared Jared Sinek a lot to Bo Butenbach, but the other quarterback from Tiger history you probably have to compare him to is Wayne Weber. A great run pass threat from the class of 1963. Boy, I think, Trent, that this week's game with Elkhorn matches up with all those games. And in fact, I think that means it's the biggest game in the history of Hastings Tiger football since the move to the Osborne Family Sports Complex. What do you think about that?
Oh, definitely. We've had a playoff game with Seward and some home games prior in the 2000s, but definitely has to be the biggest game since 2000 when we made the move from A.H. Jones, which I loved A.H. Jones Stadium. It was grand and old, and it was a little rickety and rackety, but there's a lot of tradition there. It's just a big game.
I always had to do junior high crowd control there, so I didn't like it as much. Junior high crowd control is no fun.
Yeah, definitely there. I was right there with you, but big game. We just need a big Tiger crowd. Gates open at 6. I've heard a lot of people are coming out. They've asked me about social distancing rules and that, and just get the Tiger faithful to be smart, get out there, sit with your families, and let's pack our side with some loud Tiger fans.
There's plenty of room. There's plenty of room out there. We can find space for people. If we fit in all those people over at Northwest the other night in that stadium, we can fit them in ours in a real stadium where you don't need illegal cannons going off to get everybody excited.
Oh, we had the Tiger victory cannon at the end, which was my favorite cannon of the night. So.
Why are they shooting that off?
Oh, they wanted to celebrate our win.
Tell me about Elkhorn. What are we going to see from the Elkhorn Antlers? Hastings and Elkhorn have never played before.
Yeah, Elkhorn's big and strong. They got big linemen, like to run the ball. Just from the people I've talked to in the film I've watched, looks like they're going to run power I, full back set with 3 backs in the backfield. They got some 55 playing in the backfield. I don't know how they can have a 55 and not go find another jersey to put him in. He's going to be the key where they're going to run the ball.
Yeah, he can't go out for a pass. They're kind of giving you a little bonus there. He led the way a lot in the film I watched. A lot of it was power football. They did have a little fullback trap back to the backside. They got a couple great receivers though too.
Yeah, some big tall guys, 6'4", 215. We talked about Monte Cristo's kid Drew. He's going to Nebraska to play baseball for Coach Bolt. They also play linebacker. They're big at outside linebacker. So I'm curious how those guys match up with our slot receivers. Little Shoe's been hanging out in the slot. We run that trip set. One of those linebackers is going to have to cover that. And it just comes down to us stopping the run. They're going to try to pound it right at us. We've got some big guys, probably not as much as they do, but we've got to stop the run and score, like you said earlier. And and turnovers are huge. The games I've watched, they have put the ball on the carpet a little bit. I'm curious how they react to our speed. Our speed is something you can't show in practice unless you have a little Carson Shoemaker playing on your freshman team or your lower JV sophomore team who can come give you a look. It takes a little while to get used to him in BK.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the way I see it. I see it Elkhorn size against Tiger speed. I think I don't think anybody's going to win this game 7-0. I think you're going to have to go score some points. But that's kind of the Tigers game. We've won some games in the 40s to the 30s and et cetera. So we want it to be that kind of game. We're going to need to get those stopped somewhere like we got against Northwest early. You know, things aren't going to go perfect. That Northwest game, 0 turnovers on either team. That was pretty amazing. That was a really good game. That's probably not going to happen this week. And so we want the turnovers to go our way. And if they don't, we're going to have to rise to the occasion.
Yeah,
all right, you want the last word?
Well, just really quick, I think it'll be fun how they react to our speed on defense. I go back to my line last week. We got some guys on defense playing linebacker in the safety position, in the corner position, that would rather hit you than look at you. So I'm just curious to see how all those parts work. I don't think they've seen a defense as quick as ours, who can get to the point of attack and come downhill and get some TFLs. So, and we'll just end the show like we usually do.
I just want to tell everybody we're going to have that Northwest film. If you're watching on YouTube or watching on cable, the Northwest film is going to come on right after this. If you're live on the internet, you're going to have to wait a little bit. But it's a good game to watch. One of the best high school football games I've ever been to, and hopefully we have a game equal to it Friday night out at the Osborne Family Sports Complex, 7:00. All right, Trent, get us out of here.
I just say it's time to kick another door in. We've been kicking doors in the last few weeks. After the Aurora game, people had doubts about the team, especially people outside of the program and the school. We kicked that door in with the GN Northwest game before. We kicked the Roncalli door in to get to the quarterfinals, and we booted away Northwest and kicked that door in. This is the biggest door we've had, and these guys are raring to go. They're on a mission, and they're just a really good group of dudes, and go Tigers.
All right, I do have to say one more thing. We need to remind people that the stream, my son Ryder and I will be calling the game again, but you have to watch it through the NFHS network. That's the National High School Network that the NSAA goes through. They own the rights to this, so it's a pay game. It's a pay game to stream. So people need to keep that in mind. You need a subscription to watch. You can do just a 1 month. Then you'll be able to watch the Tigers in the semifinals and the finals next week from Memorial Stadium. All right. Go Tigers, Trent.
Yeah, go Tigers. It's a good $10 or what it was before. I watched Tiger baseball when I couldn't go 2 years ago when they played in the state finals. You can cancel it. You on national broadcast. That makes me nervous. I know the guy coming up on the halftime show will probably have to pick up some slack. So
I'm not sure we're allowed to have a halftime show on the national show. I think we're limited.
Ooh, okay.
All right, go Tigers, everybody.
Go Tigers.
We'll talk to you again next week.
And get a W. Get the dub.